I was thinking the other day about magazines and newspapers and what makes their logotype designs so strong and recognizable. If you ever noticed looking at one of them fancy magazines like Vogue or Harper's Bazaar, even something serious and grounded like the Wall Street Journal, or here at Longwood University, the Rotunda newspaper, even in National Geographic, there's a specific style of type design in all of these that give their publications a high-end and distinguished feeling. And I want to talk about that. Welcome to Font History. Before we get into this video, I just wanted to say that I am currently a senior in college studying graphic design. This is my bread and butter. This is my steak and potatoes. I'm extremely qualified to talk about this information. So what is this type design style that clearly influenced high-end magazines and newspapers? Well, it's called the Didone or modern style. For this video, I'll be referring to it as Didone, and I've also heard it as Didone. I'm not gonna call it that though. I'm gonna call it Didone. So what is a Didone font? Hey man, what's going on? Oh, yeah, what's up, man?
Did you know that butterfly are bugs?
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Well, I just found that out the other day, so.
Okay. Butterfly or a bugs, I guess. So let's get back to business. To figure out what a Didone font is, let's do a quick run through of the history. When the Gutenberg printing press was made around the year 1440, the first typeface to follow it was a blackletter style. This was to mimic the handwriting style at the time, but shortly after, people involved in printing saw a huge flaw in this, and I'm sure you can see it as well. You can barely read that. The type takes up the whole damn page and it wastes so much ink. What do we do? Luckily, there was a guy named Nicholas Jensen who had a solution. Make a typeface that you can read. It took them 30 years to figure this out. So Jensen made a new typeface inspired by blackletter and old Roman scriptures, giving this style of typography the name Roman or Old style. This is in the stage where it's still largely influenced by calligraphic handwriting. So this Roman or Old style had some interesting quirks to it. Namely, its stressing or stroke width contrast. Let's take a look at the letter O on the typeface Bembo. Look at where the stroke width is versus the thin. You can draw a clear line in the middle of it that separates the stroke widths. That's a clear like 20-degree angle or so. So the stroke width variation in Bembo really isn't too high, all things considered. Keep the idea of stroke widths and stressing angles in mind when we move on. And so for almost 300 years after the fact, the printing world was content with the Roman style. There weren't a whole lot of changes to typography, only experiments that didn't really last. But it wasn't until the 1750s when a guy named John Baskerville was like, I'm gonna do something different. He was British. What Baskerville did was push Roman stressing even further. In his typeface called Baskerville, the stressing is so much more extreme, and the angle is less now. It's approaching a vertical angle, and this approach made the type look more elevated and elegant. This type style is called transitional because it was the middle stage between the old Roman style, as we saw in Bembo, and the modern Didone style, which we'll see here in a second. A typeface that you may know in this transitional style is Times New Roman, and also Baskerville by Baskerville. Sorry, I had to find a new mic. So once Baskerville released his typeface, it was a huge hit. The type nerds at the time were loving it, but there were two people in specific that really loved it. A French guy named Didot and an Italian guy named Didone. Combine their two last names, Didone. They both created their own typefaces called Didot and Didone respectively. So what these two did was really push the stressing on the letterforms. The stroke width contrast now is huge, and the angle is now vertical. The stressing is basically at its limits now, and it's hard to push the letterforms any further than this while keeping its legibility. They even brought this extreme stressing to the serifs. That shit'll give you a paper cut. Now with this extreme stressing, it made the letterforms basically geometric and practically symmetrical, so much so that it became really easy to produce and replicate. So now these Didone typefaces are even more elevated and elegant than before. These high-end magazines and newspapers were like, yeah, give me that. Nom, 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 nom. So now when you see a logo type like Vogue, you can be like, yeah, I know all about that. Thank you for watching Font History. Next week, we're talking about freaking slab serif. Yeah, that's what's